So I posted a video of a jumpsuit I made without putting the patterns of how the jumpsuit was cut out. So this is a video to that effect. Make sure to check the link in my description because I'll be leaving a link there. So make sure to continue on that video once you are done watching this one because it's a continuation. So I just want to believe that we already have our measurements. So we are going to basically take the crotch length from the shoulder like this, and then we will extend the measurement to this point. Don't be so tight with it, be as free as possible, but not so free because it's going to make it so big. And then I have 30. So this pattern paper does not come in a very long length. That's the length that I'm trying to get at this point. So I have to make an extension. I have to cut my half cut length and then I have to attach it this way. You can see how it is. I had to cut an extra half length and then I attached it to give me the length that I want. So I'm going to be taking the basic measurements. I'm going to be taking 8 inches for my chest line, which is going to also act as my armhole length. 16, which is my half cut or my waistline. 31 is my crotch length from my shoulder, but I'm going to add 1.5 extra. That's perfect for me, so please use what is perfect for you. Take your measurement and use that. Then I also need my new measurement. So for me, my new measurement is 42, so that's the 42 here. Then on the crotch length, I am going to go up by 4 inches. For me, I can go up by 4 inches or by 5 inches. That is my hip length from my shoulder. So please go ahead and measure yourself so you can also use your accurate hip length. Chest line, this is the half cut or the waistline. This is my hip length from my shoulder. This is my crotch length. Also taking my crotch length from my shoulder. Then this is the knee line. So my crotch length, I'm going to go out by 2.5 inch. So just follow me carefully. 2.5 inch on my crotch length. So I'm going to repeat the same process at this point on my shoulder line, 2.5 inches. So I'm going to roll. So I'm trying to create that crotch length that we measured from the shoulder. So just watch me carefully. So from that crotch line that I just rolled, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. Like we all know, my shoulder measurement is 8, but I'm going to be making it 8.5. I would explain how they have entered my shoulder measurement. So on the chest line again, I'm going to take the same 8.5 and then I will connect. So I will take my neck width at this point. I am using 4.5, but ideally I just need 4. 4 inches is how wide I want the neck to be, but I'm adding half. I would explain the half much later. Then I'll do my shoulder slant like we always do, 1 inch. So for the neck part, I'm going to come down by 4 inch. Yeah, so I'm going to connect the 4 inch depth to the 4.5 inch width that I marked like this. So just follow me carefully, please. So the next thing to do is to take the midpoint from my shoulder slants, that's 3.5 at this point. Then I'll go in by 1/2 inch. Then on the chest line, I'm going to take my bust measurement. For me, I am 9.5. So I'm going to mark 9.5 and add extra 1 inch allowance, making it 10.5. So it will give me the direction as to where I am curving making my armhole curve to, like this. You can see that I went through into the half that I measured inside the chest line. So just to confirm my bust measurement again, this way. Then on the half cut, then on my waistline, on my half cut, I'm taking 7, which is my waist measurement, and extra 1 inch allowance. So I'll just connect the points like this. So My tie is 24, but I want to use 26. So, and you remember that we took out 2.5 before we ruled from the crotch line up until the shoulder line. So from that 2.5 point, I am going to take 5 inch. I'm going to mark 5 inch. So 5 inch is going to be the half. So it means 5 times 2 is going to be 10 plus the 2.5 that I took extra. That's going to be 12.5, which is going to be 25. So just watch me carefully. So on the waistline, I'm going to also take the 5 mark as well. On the knee line, remember I took 2.5 initially, so I'm just going to make the mark on this point, not like I need it, but just to help me determine where the 5 is as well. So I'm going to extend it, and then I'm just going to make the lines from this half cut up onto the knee line like this. If you're confused, just watch what I'm doing. So for the base of the length, so whatever I have here, I am going to also mark the same thing there, because I'm just trying to make a mark that is, I'm just trying to divide. So you extend the line downwards. So we have gotten a line, we've gotten the center of whatever we're going to be working with. So just follow me carefully. So I'm going to go up on the waistline, or on the half cut, I'm going to go up by 4.5. I'm trying to get a dot. Then on this point, I'm going to go out by ½ inches on both sides. Then I would link it like this. Then I also come down and I'll take 4 inches. This is the trouser part of the jumpsuit. Mind you, this is a fitted jumpsuit. It is until you are done drafting it that you can do slash and spread to get the effect of what we're trying to make. So on the hip line, I'm going to take my hip measurements. So I am going to cross over from that line in order to be able to get my hip measurement. So on this line, I placed 6.5 because I want to get 26. So I placed 6.5 on that line. Then I marked 6.5 on one side and 6.5 on the other side. So on my knee line, I also place my tape there, and I'm going to take 5 inches on one side and 5 inches on the other side. And down part, I took out 4 inches on one side and 4 inches on the other side. So on the neckline, I'm going to take out ½ of an inch, and then I'm going to connect it to the crotch line like this. So from the ½ inch that I took out, I am going to link it from that point on the shoulder line to the crotch line that I'm trying to curve. So the essence of taking out this ½ inch is that we want the neck to be relaxed on our body after we're done making the jumpsuit. So all of the points we've made, it's time to connect them. You connect the crotch line to the knee line, We don't want any sharp edges, so we just try to blend in the sharp edges this way. So on the crotch line, I'm going to add 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to link it here. Link it to the knee line. Then from the knee line, we link it down. We'll take it down like this. So this is basically all it takes to make a jumpsuit pattern. This is the front pattern. So if you don't have the luxury of time, or if you don't want to waste your time, you can just go ahead and take your time to measure out your front pattern of your jumpsuit, because the only difference is going to be making with the back is just the allowance. If you're adding a zip, it's just the zip allowance, or it's just the fact that you want it to be free on you, so you are adding all of the allowances that you're supposed to have added to the front. You just add everything to the back. So this is basically everything we need for our jumpsuit. I can decide not to cut for the back again, but for the sake of this tutorial, I am going to be cutting the back. But just know that the basic thing is just the allowance I'm going to be adding. So normally my crotch length, if I'm making a trouser, my crotch length is 11, but for this jumpsuit, my crotch length presently is 16 because it's a jumpsuit. So 11, there's an extra 5-inch allowance because it's a jumpsuit, so that it's not so tight on me. So just know your crotch length and then just make the necessary adjustment as well. So I went ahead to get a pattern. I just don't need the back pattern again, but just for this tutorial, then I had to just patch in some pattern paper. So I extended my crotch line and I'm coming down by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to, this is a new crotch line or crotch length I'm going to be working with for the back. So I'm going to just extend this by 2 inch. You can use 2.5 if you are plus size, or if you are big at the butt, you can make yours 2.5 or 3 depending on your size. So the 2, I extended it upwards. I'm just going to roll this mark that I just made. So this is the only difference that the front pattern has from the back pattern. If you're making a trousers, if you're making a jumpsuit, the only difference is always in this extension, the extra that you add to the back bodice or to the back pattern to give you ease whenever you're done making it. That's the only thing that differentiates the back from the front. So you can choose to still make a back pattern for yourself, or choose to just add an extra extension once you are cutting it on your fabric. It's all up to you. So for the 2 inch that I took up, I'm going to go out by 1 inch. I'm also going to slash out that 1 inch like we did for the front part. It is again to make your zip relaxed at the back, so that after making it, your zip is relaxed to your body. I hope I'm not confusing you with my illustrations. Then I'm also going to take out the 2 as well on the part here. From the crotch line to the knee line, I'm going to add 2 inches. So from the knee line downwards, I am going to add 1 inch like this. So I will still link up the points together. So the difference between our back and our front pattern right now is this extra that I added to the back pattern. Remember that we took out half from the armhole of the front pattern. I am going to add that half to the back pattern. The armhole for the back pattern, I'm going to add that extra half that we took out from the front. Then our back pattern is ready. So the front and the back is ready. This is the zip allowance if you want to add a zip to yours. Even if you don't want to add any zip to yours, this allowance is still very necessary, because it gives your jumpsuit that ease. It makes you comfortable whenever you are in your jumpsuit. So don't avoid it. Please include it whenever you're making a trousers, whenever you're making a jumpsuit. Is very necessary. So all of the points, all of the lines on the front pattern, I'm going to also mark them on the back pattern, and then I will extend it on the back pattern as well. Oh, so my back pattern is not complete, so I will get other pattern paper and then I'll add up so I can get a full back pattern. So I am going to do my nipple to nipple measurements. It's not so necessary, but I'm just going to do it. Then I'll take half of an inch on both sides, then I'll go up by 4 inch and come down by 4 inch this way. That's the dart. So I went ahead and I added extra patterns. I had to patch it up. So I hope this patch doesn't affect you in any way. It's just a way of trying to get my pattern complete. So pardon me. So take 1 inch downwards for the neck depth, and then the same 4.5 inch like we took for the front part, and I'm going to link the neck together. So I'll just lay my front pattern on the back pattern like this. You can see that the lines are aligning together. The knee line aligns with the back pattern. The crotch line on the front pattern aligns with the crotch line on the back. So on this other side, I'm going to take out half of an inch outside. It's only effective for the back. If you see from the waistline or the half cut up until the crotch line, before this extra extension to the back pattern, I cut it and I left half of an inch extra. I'm going to be extending the half of an inch down like this, just on the back pattern. So jumpsuit pattern is ready. The back and the front patterns are ready. So you can see your crotch line very long from the shoulder down. So please go ahead, take your time. This is really what determines a good jumpsuit, the crotch length. So take your time and measure from your shoulder correctly so that you don't sew something that would be so tight and will jack you up once you are done making it. So on the front pattern, on the armhole, I'm going to mark half on the armhole. I'm going to mark the half there, that point. So I'm just going to connect it to this dart line that we made. So that's going to be where we are going to be slashing onto as regards the my initial post, as regards the post I made last. So if you want to achieve that kind of a jumpsuit, this is where you're going to be slashing up until. So if you feel pattern drafting is not your thing, it's time consuming, there's so much stress in it, and you just want an easy way out, for that reason I'm going to make another tutorial. So this is where you're going to be slashing it from up until this point. So see you in my next video, as I'll bring you a simpler method. If you don't want to go through pattern drafting, I'll give you a simpler method on how you can draft a pattern for yourself. See you in my next video. Bye.